Hello and welcome to this episode of Demystified as we explore home cooking in a modern world. Hello, I'm Linda and I'm here with my friend Paul. Hello, Paul.
What do you want today?
I want to know what we're going to talk about. How are you?
I'm alright. You?
Oh, very well, very well.
Very good.
Oh, pause. Oh, pause.
Silence.
We're waiting to see you to speak. Well, you go first.
I haven't really given this much thought.
Oh, that's lovely for the listeners
Yeah.
to hear, but yes.
So, not in the too distant past, I spent a bit of time in Auckland, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was very surprised about was the lack of markets. So fresh
food markets
in Auckland, right?
Okay.
So there was basically a single standalone seafood market, and there was one what they called the French market, which wasn't really French at all, which had fresh fruit and vegetables and a few organics and bits and pieces, but nothing like we have here. Okay, and when I say here, like we're in Preston, so the Preston market. And so a bit of a bugbear of mine recently is the desire to pretty much knock down 75% of Preston market and put up apartment buildings.
Apartment/offices.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how does this relate to Auckland? It doesn't, but what was surprising was how there weren't any fresh food markets. And if you look in Melbourne, yes, we are to a degree spoilt because you have South Melbourne, you have Queen Victoria, there's Preston, there's a few others, but they're probably the major ones.
They'd be the three big ones.
Yeah.
And then the little farmers markets, which you can sometimes
of course,
get
on Collingwood Children's Farm or whatever. Like so,
series.
Yeah, series, and there's quite a few, right? But the thing about it is that, I thought the importance of a fresh food market to the local community, and I'm not saying this because we just moved here, right? Like, we've been coming here.
We've been coming here for years. I've been coming here since I was a student 200 years ago.
Yeah, that's
don't add, don't confirm that. But yes.
The importance of people to access fresh food outside of what big chain supermarkets call fresh food, from markets like we have access to. I think it's something that, given where we are thinking these days about, or how we're thinking these days about food and the provenance of where things come from. So where are your apples coming from? How old are they? Where's your beef from? Like, you can ask any butcher these days, a good butcher, where the beef is sourced from, what sort of cow it is, all manner of things. You can't do that at a supermarket.
No, and it's not just the fresh fruit and veggies. When you lose the market, you lose everything else that's associated, all the other buys that people come here for. But it's interesting that you bring this up, actually, because it's something you and I haven't talked about. But the other night on the radio, I know because I'm so
wireless.
Old, I still listen to a wireless. But there was a wonderful program on, I think it was on Country Australia, and it was talking about the pressure on farmers because everybody now has an opinion about, they want it to be, if it's an animal, from chickens up to whatever, they want it to be lovingly treated, they want it to be organically, fed, they have restrictions on, they want to know all this stuff, and yet the poor farmer is like, what? So they're trying to do the right thing and be sustainable because it's their livelihood. They're trying to get their product out, and often they're not getting paid enough for the things that we almost as consumers require of them. And the market is where they have direct access. As you said, the fruit and veggies guys know, they go into the big markets, they know who they're dealing with, they know the growers, they know the suppliers, and they know what's fresh and what's good and
what's in season.
Exactly.
I mean, there are a whole bunch of, and this isn't about like bashing supermarkets because
not at all.
They are needed, absolutely, and they're a convenience.
Totally.
I mean, this market is only open from Wednesday to Sunday, right? Now, I'm not suggesting everyone needs to shop daily, but sometimes you just need something, or you're missing an ingredient or whatever. And
But often happens to you, doesn't it?
you whip down to the supermarket, you just grab it, and that's fine, right? But the point of it is for me, is I think it is a massive error in tearing down what is a community hub that provides fresh food to people to put up apartments, so they are forced then to purchase through a supermarket chain.
Well, where they're all
because where would you if our office was now in an apartment block, where would we go?
Well, there's just the supermarket across the road.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there is a big supermarket across the road, but that's it.
Yeah.
And people come into a market for that variety. As I said before, the traders are there because of that variety. You know, we've always known in my other life, in the accounting life, that there's something wrong with competition and putting 2 milk bars or 2 florists or 2 hairdressers.
Best example of that is one of the delis that I go to at the market. Directly opposite him, a brand new deli popped up. Now, a brand new deli hasn't opened in that market in I don't know how long, right? So all of those guys that work in sort of the deli section of the Preston market have been there a long time. And that guy is particularly, like, his father ran it and still works there. Yeah. And they would have been there since inception.
Yeah.
No doubt. And directly opposite them is now a brand new, shiny Flasho.
That you can walk in behind. I know, it's quite different for the market, isn't it? Yeah.
Flasho deli. And I actually said to him, I said, he goes, man, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's bringing people straight to us. Like, you know, they have such faith in their established history. And that's the other part of this is what happens to all of those traders? What happens to them? I mean, there's suggestions that they will build a market which will be 25% of the current size of this one, which would fit in a butcher, a fishmonger, a fruit and veg guy, and a couple of other bits and pieces stores, not offering any variety to people. The good thing about that is that not only is it cater for, for people's fresh food requirements, it caters to different budgetary needs.
Oh, totally.
You can buy from super premium, organic, hand sourced, all manner of stuff from the organic guys, or you can go to another person that has coriander for $1.
Yeah.
Like, it gives access to people at price points which they can afford fresh food. Like, I'm struggling to understand why apartments are better for the community. And given that I work in the industry that I work in, which is selling appliances to apartments at times to make money, I can't see how it benefits the community at all by pulling down what is something pretty historic. You're putting probably, I don't know how many people would work at the market, but there would be 1,000 maybe.
People, yeah.
You're putting quite a few people out of work, people that have put their life into working at that place. Those guys, that father and son at the deli, they're there every day the market's open, every hour, all of the time. They are never away. That's their whole life's work.
And all those people who have jobs.
Yeah, and all the people that have jobs because of what they built.
Yeah.
And now it's...
And you look around, as you said, in Auckland there aren't any. And I must say, one of the attractions of some of the European towns is the fact that they have those regular markets. And like we said in an earlier podcast, the variety of food that they have when they come in to their square and have their regular markets, because they bring in that variety of clothes and household goods and
all manner of things. Yeah,
everything. And that's what, when you lose that variety, and then you are limited, you're forced to go and pay the price, because I know at Preston Market, and I'm sure they do it at Vic Mart, I'm sure when you used to live near there, you'd see it, and I'm sure they do it at South Melbourne, that come 12:30 here in the meat section, there's trays of food going out for a fraction of the price.
Yeah. And it's not just... I I'm not articulating this very well. It's not just a cost thing. It's not just a freshness thing. There are so many facets to it, which I think are detrimental to where we currently work and currently are, and I live like now in Preston.
Literally. A stone's throw.
Yeah.
Literally.
I can't see the benefit to pulling down fresh food markets. I actually would be thinking, why wouldn't you put more up? Like, farmers markets are great, okay? But in my world, and I understand that farmers can't necessarily always do it, but they need to be more, not less.
Well, it's also one of the things that I love when I go to the market, and I do love that deli that you go to, but you ask them a question about how to cook it, what is it, they'll give you a taste, they'll help you expand, your world. And often when I'm reading a recipe, because I do sometimes read them, when I'm reading a recipe...
It's not the fact that you read them, it's how thoroughly you follow them.
I knew you were going to bring that up. Yeah. So I thought, I should pull what I say here. But when I'm reading a recipe, sometimes what puts me off a recipe is it'll have some weedy ingredient that you've got to go to some specialty store miles away.
Yeah.
And you just go, no, I won't do that. I'll go to something else. But... here, you can taste it, you can see it, you can ask questions about it, and you can go, can I use that? Or how long does this meat? What do I do with this meat?
Yeah.
How do I cook this thing? And it really does, the people over there are and they're all, at all markets, really helpful.
Yeah.
And you lose that because you can't talk to someone in a big supermarket chain about
there's no butchers in them. There's no butchers in them anymore.
I heard that the other day.
There hasn't been a butcher in a big chain supermarket in a long time. Like, I remember one of my first jobs was actually cleaning the butcher's room at a big chain supermarket. It was on a Sunday afternoon. It was the most disgusting job I've ever done. But there were real butchers butchering forequarters. Like, it was proper butcher work.
No, that's not happening.
Everything is now delivered, vacuum sealed packaging, individually portioned.
Bought in boxes.
That who knows how old it is. Like...
And there's no one to ask how to cook it or what to do with it, or if you're not sure.
And look, we know the internet's there. Our business is based off the internet, right? We know it's there. But you can't get it, like, the feel, the smell, the taste. Like, you can't get any of that.
But what's also really lovely is sometimes when you ask for something... They go, I don't have it on display, but I have it at the back.
Yeah,
I'll just get it for you.
And I was just about to mention that, is that the deli guy, so one of my weaknesses is mortadella. Like, I love, so I think it's, I don't know what they call it in the States. It's not mortadella, but...
Spice tang?
No, I think it's...
I'm not sure.
Anyway, and I know the stuff that they've got out the front isn't the good stuff. And I know the stuff they've got out the back, and you have to know. And that's what I asked for, and they nick out to the back cool room and get the good stuff. Yeah. So, and that sort of stuff you'd miss. Like, I just,
You're getting them to take out things like.
And it works in the reverse too. The funny thing was, my example of going to Auckland, I went to a farmer's market. I picked up. There was a single fruit and veg supplier at an entire market. The only one that we could find in Auckland, and the person I was travelling with had been living there for 2 years, and he had some celeriac there. I like celeriac quite a lot, and I think it's great. It does a lot of things. And the farmer said to me, what do you even do with that? How do you cook it? He's selling it, and he grows it, and he knows how to grow it, and they were beautiful. But he had no concept of how to cook it. So sometimes it works in the reverse too. I get asked often, because I visit regular stores, but I often get asked, because a lot of people know what I do, I often get asked, so what are you going to do with that? Or that's a weird mix of stuff. Why are you buying it? What's all that for? Like, often. I don't get inspiration to cook from looking through droves of supermarket shelves of vacuum sealed shit. I want to
go with product.
No, but I want to see what's wrong with I want to see the pig's head.
I know you do. Yeah, and you do.
But I want to also, and I'll take my son there, and so he can see it.
Yeah, and I've seen you go over there thinking of one thing, And then you get
totally
completely inspired by something else and come back really, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, this and this. But yeah, I just love the variety. I just love being able to go over and then have a look and find something. And if I can't find it in one store, it's going to be in another store.
Yeah.
So I don't miss out. But the few times I do go often shopping, I often miss out on things because they're out of stock or they just haven't got it replenished yet. But it is sad to think that we are losing
potentially.
It's very hard to convince when the council's made up their mind, when a local council has made up its mind, it's very hard to convince it to do otherwise.
Yeah, so I think the point of this is support your local market. Just go and shop there. Even if it isn't that local. Go and shop there.
People come from as we've seen.
Yeah.
We have seen people come from all over in the northern suburbs to go to this one. And I know that people travel in from everywhere to go to Vic Market.
Yeah, my parents lived in the eastern suburbs and they would travel.
Yeah,
and that was a 40-minute drive. And South Melbourne's the same.
South Melbourne Market's the same, the big ones.
So I suppose my thought for the day, Linda, is like support the local market. Like don't
support
just stand
fresh,
by. Yeah,
and support those businesses around you that are trying to do, something a bit different, a bit fresh, because they need that support to keep them going and to have that variety. I mean, we've lost so much diversity in our fruit and veggies because we like to have a pink lady apple, exactly pink and exactly the right,
shape, colour.
And so all the other ones get just we waste so much food in our country because the banana has to be bent in the right angle and for the right, length, and we can't have green beans all nice and straight. And we've got these ideas about food that if you were growing it
they're not,
wouldn't have that.
Yeah, but those ideas are being dictated to us by others. The thing is to open up your mind to, buying a banana that's got some colour on its skin. Just try it. You know what I mean?
Or use it for making, sometimes you just want something now to make a lovely bread or a banana cake or the bread, and you need to have really ripe bananas.
It's just so I think it's sort of been on my mind a bit. So if anyone wants to jump on, support your market, go to your farmers markets, buy something that you haven't seen before,
have a look around
and ask them and try and do the same thing in your supermarket. Now, I'm not bashing supermarkets because I think they provide employment for a lot of people. I think they provide really good training, especially for younger people. They have their place, but they have their place just as much as a fresh food market does. No more, no less. Everyone can be fit together nicely, and this is proof. Market days, there's 3 car parks at this market that are massive, and they are never empty.
No, in fact, it's often a
it's
fun fight out there.
It is.
But it is. But they are busy all the time until just before the market shuts.
Yeah. So my sort of thing today was I thought, well, let's talk about markets and the importance of them, because I think they are. I think they're super important, and especially for the next generation. I take my little fella there. I can't take him to a supermarket and show him the head of a fish. Not seen.
No.
What am I protecting him from? Do you know what I mean? What am I hiding him from?
Exactly, yeah.
He knows full well that a lamb is a young sheep and its body is about that big because we see them hanging up. He knows that fish have heads and that when you cut them, they bleed. As gruesome as it is, at least he has an understanding that...
And some respect for the fact that this has been an animal that has...
Correct.
And you can ask the questions. Has it been, looked after? What sort of farming environment did it come from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important. We talk about wanting to know the provenance of our food. Walk the walk, mate. Because you can't... reading a label, and I'm not saying people lie on labels, but... A prime example is the word light, okay?
I think it's...
LITE on yogurt. What does that even mean? That's not a word.
I know.
Yeah. So
it's a form of slacktivism, isn't it?
Yeah. And I've been guilty of that on a million topics. But this, I think everyone finds their thing, right?
Oh, you are passionate about this. Yeah.
Well, I'll probably get a little bit annoyed when I'm passionate about things because I just don't. I thought there was true benefit to the traders, the community, and everything else, then fantastic, fine. Yeah. Let's look at a redevelopment where everyone is happy, and that's great. But it's not the way the world works, right? So, yeah, I think.
And we are at risk of losing more and more of diversity and choice at a time when we probably need it more.
Yeah, when everyone should be now getting out there and looking how other people cook. I mean, there's how many different ethnicities own stores over there.
Exactly.
Like, you can walk into one. I know one store where I buy spices from, and they are like experts at spices. Like, Indian guy runs the store, can tell you everything and anything about any spice. And then you go further across the road, and I'm in China, Korea, Japan.
That wonderful big Asian supermarket.
Yeah, and then, then I'm talking to some Greeks about fish, and then I'm talking to some Italians at the deli, like, in the space of a single shop. Like, that's who we sort of claim that we are as a nation. I mean, we're pretty rubbish at a lot of things, but we certainly do have a multicultural society, and that is just a small monument of that in a small market that people want to pull down. And I think it's a disgrace. So get out there and get to your farmer's market.
Well, there you are.
Or your market.
Or your local market.
Your fresh food market.
Give it a go.
Yeah. Because otherwise, you don't know what you're missing, number one. And number two, they won't be here anymore. And we'll all be forced into plastic packaged,
mass-produced, cold storage goods.
Yeah, that don't have the quality there.
Or the taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you are.
Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. It's probably you wanted to discuss something else.
No. And
Anzac
I can say
biscuits or something boring.
I think we've covered that. Did I make them again? And they're all, yes, and we learnt the lesson. Yes, okay. I have now got it down to 35 minutes to make from start to end batch. And the preheating an oven, I now did that. I made a roasty last night for Dougie and preheated the oven. I used the 2 ovens with this one, and 20 minutes plus to preheat.
There you go.
And I used the meat probe, and that worked a treat. So yes, that was good. Thank you for the tip on that.
That's all right.
Alrighty.
We'll be back with something more light-hearted on Friday. Sorry, gosh. It was just it's just a thing.
Like, it is true. It is about how we, and all around the world there are markets, and maybe people don't. But probably after what we've been through the last 2 years, getting out to your local was really handy just to have that variety when you really couldn't travel that far.
They haven't been able to trade, especially in Melbourne. So now's the time to support them.
Exactly.
So not only have they had to live through what's been a pretty crap 2 years, on the back end of that, and I was speaking specifically about where we are, on the back end of that in Preston, there's now
this huge push for closing it down and redeveloping it, making it better.
Yeah.
So we can have new offices and new apartments, and where are they going to park? Where are they going to where?
Yeah.
I know. Anyway,
parking. Who cares about parking? Like,
no, but 3,000 people living in a little spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Well, thank you for that.
They can all eat chalky apples. If that happens, they can all eat chalky rubbish apples. That's what I think.
And perfectly bent bananas.
Yeah, that have no taste or flavour.
And they don't last that long.
Yeah, and they can have fish that is water-laden, that has no identity at all.
I think now we might be slightly sticking it to the supermarkets, but we'll pull back from that and say, no.
It's not, it's truth.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And,
well, you're not thanking me at all. I can tell by the look on your face.
Oh my God, we just added half of it. Anyway. But no, thank you for that. Controversial, but true. Maybe.
No, I don't know that it's controversial. I just think, well, it's just you know,
Yeah,
think about where you buy. There you go. That's what it is.
Exactly.
Think about where you get your ingredient.
And who's actually benefiting from this.
Yeah.
Sometimes, in fact most times, lower prices just means it's not the supermarket or often the big seller, the big market chain that's
taking the
paying,
hit.
Yeah, no.
It's the
person
farmer.
they're buying it from, or
Yeah.
the manufacturer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And so back to cooking.
Yeah.
Friday we'll have a catch up.
Yes.
And I know you've been cooking a few things. I know there's some things coming up on the website for cooking with steam. So
Yeah.
we'll discuss that later.
Okay.
Lovely.
All right. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you, Paul.
Bye.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Happy cooking.
Happy cooking.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this podcast as we explore home cooking in a modern world. We'd love you to subscribe, and for more information, please go to our website, cookingwithsteam.com.